Hey everybody, welcome to The Warp. I'm Jack Rita. And in this video, I wanted to go over a few of the online resources for Cosmic Encounter that are out there. If you are, like me, a little bit too into Cosmic Encounter, there are some great resources out there that you can leverage to answer questions, to look up variants, to get some better understanding or insight. I'm going to start with The Warp, which is one of the oldest ones. It's been up since sometime in the 90s. My friend Marcus helped me compile a lot of the stuff that was out on the internet. Now, arguably one of the most useful features on here is the Amazing Alien Database, which you can get to by going to the link here or here. It's a little bit of a primitive interface, but still very useful, especially if you're looking for specific things. So it's got a few pull-down boxes that you can use if you want to narrow your search. Origin has to do with things like, is it a Mayfair one? Did it come from an edition of, Encounter magazine? This is using a lot of abbreviations just because of the way the database was set up. There can only fit 5 characters in there. So a lot of people don't necessarily use this unless they already kind of know what they're doing. Author can be useful if you're looking for mostly homebrews, and it's listed by people credited as best I can imagine. But you can say, yeah, I just want to look at what showed up in Encounter magazine, or what were the original Eon aliens, or more likely Fantasy Flight ones, and that lets you narrow your search. And you can just hit submit, and what it'll do is it'll bring up an alphabetical listing of all of the Fantasy Flight published Cosmic Encounter aliens. There is one drawback, however, is that this stopped getting updated right before Cosmic Odyssey came out. And that's just because the interface with the database stopped working. And I'm not going to make my friend Marcus, who has a real job, try to reinvent it. So it's still useful for most of what you're after. Probably still more so if, like, I'm looking up, all of the, who's a favorite? Cedric Chin homebrew aliens. And they're not all in there, but there are 175 of them, which is still a lot. And so it's good for that. You can also go, like, I'm just interested in some some of these specific ones, like the subterfuge aliens or hyperspace aliens, in which you can do a double, like, are there any by Cedric Chin? I don't think the answer is no, but you can do an all. But if you're like making homebrews and you're like, oh, what I'm interested in is, has someone made, a homebrew called Saboteur, and you don't even have to type the whole thing, but you can go, oh, well, all right, we have disabled, disposable. Oh, here we go, Saboteur, the Framingham group. Of course, there is one by Fantasy Flight. You can go, oh, okay, there already is one. So if I'm going to come up with something else, maybe I'll do that. And there's a lot in here. If we just do a search on everything, we will see that there are, well, that says 1,500. I know there's more than that. So there might be, well, that's with no theme at all. So yeah, let's do all. That's what I meant to do. So, yeah, we scroll down here. Yeah, 2,069. So that's a lot of aliens. It is going to have some duplicates. So, like, for instance, if you do Macron, you're going to find you got Macron. This is the Mayfair one. Oh, this is the mandatory 0. That's the first. That's the base game for Eon. This is a revision that I did. This is the Mayfair one. This is the one from CE Online. Another revision, the Fantasy Flight one, Avalon Hills version. Doesn't include the one from Odyssey, of course, which itself is a revision. It's an all-timeline one. So yeah, maybe one day I'll get into it. There is a lot of other stuff, though, that's still pretty good. I mean, there's if we go to, let's go to, sitemap. Here we go, the site index. So these are all the individual pages on there. So there's a lot of this is variants. And so you're like, oh, what is Rogues? And you can see, oh, that's a variant that I created. It was suitable for Eon and Mayfair. And so it's a way for you to use an extra set of tokens. This actually would work for Fantasy Flight as well. You would just need to have an extra set of ships, which I do have. but it's also organized by, like, I'm interested in encounter cards. Well, you've got all these different types of encounter cards, some of which are like the Morph. That's a Fantasy Flight thing. Defend is a homebrew idea. Same thing with Antibody. And then just the different things that could be in the Cosmic deck, different reward deck things, different things that have to do with the Destiny deck, different things about aliens, different types of aliens, power discussions, so power rankings, schizoid win conditions. This is like a list of stuff from like the Eon and Mayfair version where you are actually making up the win conditions. Some system variants, Lucre, which is now Lux, the different types of moons. So there's a lot of other things on here that are interesting to look at, some interesting variants. Now, we've started a project, Bill Eberly and Jumbo Carrot, who is he's on Board Game Geek, and he's on the Cosmic Discord. Starting off with just Alien Database. So we've got, he's and it's mostly him and Bill, not me, because I don't do any programming at all. I just say, I sure wish this existed, and then they do. So they've done a lot of stuff. The idea is that we're trying to migrate all of this over. So this is on a URL, thecosmicwarp.com. And that's something that Future Pastimes owns. So we're trying to migrate all of this information eventually over to something that's a little more modernized and user-friendly. It doesn't have everything that's in there, but it does have, some more up-to-date stuff. As you can see, it's got quite a few different macrons in here. So that's a revision. That's one that I put on the Warp, from CE Online, from Avalon Hill, from Mayfair, from the Eon base set, Fantasy Flight. Still doesn't have Odyssey one in there. So again, we're working on it, but it's pretty slow moving. And this one's not really that public. A lot of people don't know about it, and it's because it's not really offering you a ton more. It's got, some more up-to-date stuff on Lux, and it's got the Lux cards in there, so that's a little more up-to-date. This is the Fantasy Flight version of Moons, put in here, show more. Yeah, so it's getting there. Another site that is pretty good just for purposes of the aliens, and this is a pretty handy. So you've got the alien generator here, where you can say, all right, what am I including here? I'm trying to pick some aliens, and I want a choice of 2. I don't want to remove anything. I don't want to exclude anything. Maybe I don't want any red alert ones. But I do want to include, I've got Cosmic Alliance and Conflict and Incursion and Odyssey. And let's draw. And it's like, all right, you've got Healer and you've got Cosmos. And so you can get the whole thing on their how the alien works. It's optional when it works. So that is a pretty handy little tool. But it also has, and it's pretty good reference, it's just the alien reference. You're like, all right, this is all the aliens in the base game, and you're like, all right, let's include Alliance as well. And so you're like, okay, Cosmic Alliance, the red alert. And so it's broken up by alert level, and you're like, I want to look up this one. What is the text for that? So that's a pretty handy and quick way to look these things up. So I use this pretty regularly. I'm using it a lot for my alpha series on which one's the best alien, because it has Odyssey in there. So I can't use the Warp to include it in my search. So yeah. Of course, a great reference and tool for everyone is the Cosmodex. And this is on Board Game Geek. It's pinned in the forums under rules here, and this is Bill Martinson's fever dream passion project, and it's like an encyclopedia. It really is, and it's focused largely on the Fantasy Flight edition, which is the current edition. And so you've got a lot of articles and stuff, but then you just have an alphabetical listing of all the stuff. So here, great, here's Ace, and it's got some notes about it, about who illustrated it, any special information about it, all the game text, and when it can be used, its flair, even a little thumbnail of the alien, and this one says, it's using cosmic tokens. But then you've got a thing on alert levels, and then you've got a list of the essence cards for alien, and this is a space station, and this is FAQ clarifications about the alien. So this is a great resource. Like the Warp, though, it's got some issues. Once you get down to like P or R somewhere in there, there was some kind of cosmic, not cosmic, but really a Board Game Geek hiccup. And a lot of data was lost, and Bill is just like, I'm waiting until I really have nothing else in my life to do before I fix that. And so it's not super up to date, but the stuff that's in there is well worth your time, and it's great for looking stuff up and getting some insight, especially if you're like, oh, what's the meaning here? And this wording wasn't consistent, and Bill will notice that and point it out. And even in some cases, he gives you suggested replacement text. So very handy for that. Speaking of Jumbo Carrot, he set up this, and this is the reason we kind of reached out to him about migrating the Warp, is that he created the PRA, which is another resource. It's got a lot of stuff in there. It's mostly, all right, look up something. So, well, let's see what we got here for Moon. If we look up that, we got a whole bunch of moons. And then, it's got to look like, did you mean Moocher or... I'm not sure why Demon shows up, but there you go. It's finding other stuff that may be related or may be what you originally intended. So, and that's at if we go back to the home, it's the-pra.versell.app. So I have all these bookmarked so that I can quickly get to them. The Cosmic Companion. There's a URL there for that. fmoral.net/cosmic. And then this one, of course, thecosmicwarp.com. And then the Warp, it's at readomedia.com/warp. Because at the time, like the Warp or Warp, those URLs were long gone. And, they may be open now, but I'm not spending any more money on that. So there you have it. These are different resources that are definitely worth your time and have got a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of historical data. This, of course, this one was set up back when Mayfair was the current edition. And so it has a lot of Mayfair and Eon stuff and in it. But I only just recently decided to have this as artifact, even though it started off as edicts. But here I've got listing of all the Fantasy Flight ones, and then some related articles. But yeah, like I said, it's mostly like, Cosmic Dune, what's that? And some variant-specific ones, some internet ones. What are Z edicts? And that's a variant from Jeffrey Field, and that was in Space Gamer issue 66. So yeah, it's that's what the Warp and some of these other sites will give you. So if you have any questions about these, let me know. Check them out. It's a fun exploration, and it's good research for the Cosmic Encounter super fan, super nerd like myself. That's it for this one, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.